Hey guys, how's it going?
We're live.
It is my husband grooming himself again right before we start. It's the funniest thing in the world.
Never fails, right?
It never fails. It just is the best. Anyhow, how's everyone doing out there today? Happy Wednesday night. Happy Facebook Live. My name is Radlyn Mendoza, and this is my law partner and husband, John Gardner, and we are attorneys at Gardner Mendoza Immigration Law. And tonight we're here to answer your question first and foremost.
That's
as
right.
we do every single Wednesday night, for the most part.
Every Wednesday from 6 to 7, we jump on here and give you some information about immigration law and other things going on. We especially like to answer questions. That's the primary thing. So if you have an immigration question or a legal question, please put it in the comments, and we will absolutely try to answer it in real time. That's what we try to do.
Yes, and I am going to be monitoring the questions and trying to keep up with them. So please send them on in. We love answering questions and hopefully being helpful to you guys. Hi, Miss Evelina. Great to see you again. Armando's here. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, welcome everybody. So here's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Some of it we talk about every week. We add in a little bit here and there. Of course, the updates keep everyone up to date on everything that's going on. We feature once a week now. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks. This is a new thing. It's an inspirational immigration story. So if you have one and you'd like us to share it, please let us know and we can put it on next week. But we try to feature either a client or a family member or just some person that provides an inspirational immigration story. So we'll be doing that tonight. We're also going to have the USCIS Updates, new and recap of important information with immigration. I'm going to look forward to immigration law under the incoming administration. We did a little bit of this last week, and I think we got some positive feedback from it, so we're going to do some more tonight. I call it crystal ball because we really have no idea what the legislature is going to do, Congress, but I think we can have some pretty rough ideas of where things may be going based on our experience and also from what we're hearing from the administration. I will be talking about the driver privilege card, as I do almost every week, trying to continue to beat that drum and get everybody out there to, follow up on it if you're eligible and it's the right thing for you to do. And then, of course, most importantly, like we said at the outset, we are going to answer questions. So if you have an immigration question, even a specific immigration question, put it in the comments, and I guarantee you with 99% that you cannot stump her.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, so now you have
bring it on, 2021. I'm up for the challenge. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I saw my mother-in-law, Georgia Gardner, pop on here. Hi, Mom. How's it going?
Oh, hi, Mama.
Good to see you. And everyone else popping on to see us tonight. We really appreciate it. We love the support. We love answering your questions, and that's why we're here. So you keep us coming back. Right?
Yeah,
They keep us coming back with their wonderful questions.
They do.
And, fun emojis.
And they're going to get us through the long, cold winter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's hot up here.
Yes.
But it's cold everywhere else. But I'll take the warmth. Speaking of warmth, are we jumping into immigration story?
Yeah,
or
I think there's a disclaimer that needs to be made first.
The disclaimer, yes. The disclaimer, and you normally make this disclaimer,
I know.
And it is that this Facebook Live is for educational purposes only. Please do not rely on it as legal advice. Thank you very much. Our lawyers told us to say that.
That's right.
Appreciate your questions and support, but it is for educational purposes only.
And Radlyn said, speaking of cold and warmth, she said that because it all ties together with our immigration story of the week. I just got back from Miami, my second home.
Miami.
Yes, I was partying in the city where the heat is on. I just got back from Miami because I was there for the college football national championship. So this all ties together. So I I won't drag it out too long, but there's an immigration story here that goes with my story and my dad as well. So I first wanted to say happy birthday to my dad. Today's his birthday. He would have been 77 today. And one of the things that he and I and my brother and nephew like to do is every year we would go to college football games, and we really enjoyed that, including Ohio State games. And I went to the Ohio State University as an undergrad. And
Go Bucks.
That's right, go Bucks. And we went to the national championship in 2015, and when Ohio State won the national championship, the four of us were there, and that was in Dallas, Texas. And this ties together with our immigration story of the week, because the person that I'm featuring tonight, in the spirit of Ohio State and guide trips and college football, is former Ohio State University and current Detroit Lions football player, Jeff Okudah. Okay, Jeff Okudah's parents immigrated to the United States in 1990 from Nigeria, and they settled in Dallas, Texas. And he went on to become a standout high school football player. He went to the Ohio State University and was a standout cornerback. I mean, just a great, great player. And then he was drafted third overall. He was drafted in the first round by the Detroit Lions in 2020, and is playing now in the NFL. And, you know, that's a great story. I mean, this is an immigration story that I love. I mean, his parents come from Nigeria. They settle in Texas, and now he's playing for the Detroit Lions as a professional football player. He said he got his original interest in football came from watching video games, football video games.
That's a great story.
Yeah, I love it. And I also like to think, it's funny for me to think about, you know, being in Texas, in Dallas, and that's where his parents were. And anyway, it all ties together. It's a great story. So Jeff Okudah, good for you. It's a win-win-win, because it's a win for him because he's following his dream and he's making a ton of money. I know that because I Googled it.
What's the signing bonus?
He signed a 5-year, $33 million contract, a $21 million signing bonus. Ooh. So he's doing just fine. The family's doing just fine financially. But it was also a win for the Ohio State University because he was a great player, and we won a lot of games when he was there because he was excellent. And it's a win for the Detroit Lions. I mean, the folks up in Detroit, I'm sure they love having an absolute all-star cornerback covering receivers every Sunday. So that's my story for the week. Go Bucks, and hats off to Jeff Okudah. What a great story.
That is a fantastic story.
All right.
And I'm sure his parents are really proud.
I'm guessing his parents are really proud, and they're probably pretty happy about the decision to settle down in Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So that's the story for today.
And again, as John said earlier, if you want to share your story or you know of an inspirational immigration story, please let us know. We would love to feature it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to tie it all back, as I mentioned at the beginning, I forgot to say that yes, I was in Miami on Monday night with my brother and my nephew, not my father, unfortunately, but the three of us were there. We didn't win. The result was quite a bit different than what happened in Dallas in 2015, but you know what? We had a great time. It was a ton of fun. Hard Rock Stadium is super cool. Miami and Fort Lauderdale were a lot of fun, and it was a good time. So go Bucks next year, maybe.
And you got to see a little bit of local immigration happenings there as well, didn't you? Just not happenings, but exciting. We don't really see here too often in Hampton Roads.
That's right. I saw a couple things that I don't normally see around here. One was my Uncle Frank and Aunt Jill. We had dinner with them because they live in Miami, and we don't see them up here very much because they don't come to Virginia Beach. They always go to Ohio to visit my mother, and when we were there, we see them. But anyway, it was nice to see them in Miami. And the other thing that I saw that I'm not used to living here in Virginia Beach was a Customs and Border Patrol van just sort of parked on the beach at Fort Lauderdale. So I'm used to seeing Virginia police on Shore Drive running radar, not used to seeing
CBP, right?
CBP just...
John sent me a picture. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I was like, wow, it just got real. It's a little different here in South Florida.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. Okay, let's move on to USCIS updates.
Okay, so I have just a couple of updates today because I want to leave time for questions, and sometimes I just talk too much, and I know that, and therefore I am only going to provide 3 things. I'm not going to say it every week, maybe it'll just be today, but there is a lot going on. There's tons and tons of immigration news going on right now. But I wanted to highlight a couple of things that impact our clients. Number one thing, and this happened last week, H-1B news, Department of Homeland Security announced the final rule to amend regulations governing the process by which USCIS is going to be selecting H-1B registrations for filing upcoming here. So that's pretty big news that they're going to do a different type of selection. So for those who are wanting to file an H-1B or planning on it, this will impact you. And essentially what it looks like to me is that they will first, it's been a lottery-based selection, but what it's going to do now is they're going to select registrations based on the highest occupational employment statistics prevailing wage level that the offered wage equals or exceeds for the relevant SOC. So what that means basically is if your potential H-1B employee has a higher wage and at a higher level, then those higher wage level jobs are going to be the ones that are going to be in the first pick. So this is a pretty big deal. This is going to go into effect March 9th. So if any of you employers out there who are going to file or planning on filing have any questions about that, please let us know, and I'll be happy to hop on a call with you and discuss this. The second thing I wanted to mention is that there are a lot of people out there who have filed for a renewal of their lawful permanent resident card, the green card, and you use the form I-90 to do that. And what USCIS is doing starting this month is that instead of putting a sticker on your LPR card, your green card, to show that it's extended at your biometrics, they're going to be sending an official I-797 receipt notice on official government paper, which on that I-797 receipt notice, it's going to say that your lawful permanent resident card, your green card, is going to be extended for another 12 months. So expect to see that in the mail instead of the sticker. If you're traveling outside of the United States, you have to bring your passport of your country, of course, your lawful permanent resident card, and that piece of paper, the I-797 piece of paper, to show that your green card is still valid. So that's supposed to help with just getting the actual physical green card. Is very backlogged right now, and so this piece of paper that they're going to send along with you to serve as a receipt and an extension is going to help with you not having to go and do an InfoPass appointment to get a passport stamp or whatever you would be doing otherwise. So this is good news. It kind of scares me a little bit because it's indicating that they are just projecting that getting these green card application renewals process is going to take at least a year. But at least you have a piece of paper showing that green card is extended for the year. Now, a lot of people hate this. They just this is a piece of paper, it's so unprofessional, who's even gonna believe this? This could have actually just been printed. I get all that, but it's all you have right now. And it's fine. It's all over USCIS that they're doing this. It's going to be accepted. If you're an employer and you don't know how to fill out the I-9 with this scenario, reach out to us. We'll walk you through that on how to properly complete the employment verification form. So those are the 2 things that I wanted to mention as far as USCIS updates. The last thing that I wanted to do, and sometimes we get incorporated with questions here, so I don't have time to do it, is a little bit of a practice tip. But before I get to the practice tip, I saw there were a couple of questions. One question is from Evelina. She says, what day is the Citizenship Day Zoom event? The Citizenship Day Zoom event is going to be on February 20th of this year. And there are many community-based organizations, well, maybe about 8 or 9 right now, that are offering assistance and completing the N400 for applicants out there who, really want to get this filed, have, don't know where to start or really need help with it. On this day, and really a couple of days, depending on the community-based organization, it could be it could be that Saturday and Friday. But anyhow, we will be posting up more information about that. We're right now trying to gather information about these community-based organizations and how they're going to conduct their Zoom meeting. Gardner and Mendoza is a community-based organization for the purpose of filing and assisting with Citizenship Day. So again, we will put that out there. Great, wonderful question, because that's coming up. I mean, it's right around the corner. And like I said, our goal is to help even more people than before when it was not virtual. So keep a lookout for that and in the Facebook page, and we'll also send out a blast email. All right, and then another question was, does COVID-19 change green card interview style? The biggest thing that it changes, and I'm going to say it doesn't change it that much, but the biggest thing that has changed is that there is a plastic barrier between the couple and the officer. Everyone is masked. Some officers will not allow, this is another big change depending on the officer. Some officers will only interview, one person at a time, and then that way there are not more than 4 people in the 3 people or 4 people in the office. If you have, an interpreter, if you have an attorney, so the officer can just bring in one spouse, have that spouse answer all of their questions, bring the spouse back out to the waiting room, bring the other spouse in. So it could take a little bit longer, but that's an excellent question. But that is a big change, and it can delay just the time that it takes for an immigration officer to complete an interview if they are taking them in one by one. And I do want to say that especially with the internet, YouTube, and everything like that, when you get called in just one by one, that means you're getting split up. But that's not necessarily the case here. In the cases that I've seen, it's all 100% COVID related, and not because because the officer thinks that this is not a bona fide marriage and a bona fide relationship, and that's why they're taking you in one by one. Now, sometimes that is the case, but I've been seeing it happen, and that's the reason. All right. We have any other questions pop up? I told you how I just talk so much. It's unreal.
That was great. Along with the lines with the COVID information, one of the things that we have been asked is whether when the vaccine rolls out, if you're going to have to be a U.S. citizen to get the vaccine, and the answer to that is no. Okay, I mean, there's going to be a long wait for it depending on what group you're in. There's this very complicated rollout. I know a lot of people are already frustrated with the way things are going with the rollout of the vaccine, but from an immigration standpoint, there's nothing that would require you to be a U.S. citizen to get the vaccine. So whoever you are, if you're in the category that's up, healthcare workers or first responders or essential workers or grocery stores, whatever category, and if you're up and you want to get it, okay? Yeah. And don't let immigration be a concern for you.
Yes, that is a question that we got yesterday, and I was really surprised by the question.
Well,
because my clients are lawful permanent residents of the United States, and not sure about what to do there and whether they would be eligible for the vaccination when it came to their turn. But
so that's the update on that. I wanted to give some updates on where we may be headed. All right, and it's again we don't know for sure, but just yesterday, so this is very, very recent. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris said that there are going to be some big immigration changes that they're going to try to push through. One thing that she said is that, and this was an interview with Univision, that they plan to introduce an immigration reform bill that will grant automatic green cards to immigrants with TPS, that's temporary protected status, as well as those with DACA deferred action for childhood arrivals. All right, so if you fall in one of those categories, this would be cause for cautious optimism. And I always say that because, every time it looks like we're in a good position for some of this reform, a lot of times it fans out. And I think one of the reasons is that, we're immigration lawyers, and you all are in this community with us, and we have similar ideas of what should happen. But some of these Congress people and senators, they come from districts where sometimes these are harder votes for them. So even though the Democrats will have control of the House and the Senate, as well as a president who is pushing this, sometimes once that sausage starts getting ground up, it gets complicated and hard. And I always caution just to be patient. But I think it is a good opportunity for some of this to happen.
Yes. Right. Cautious optimism.
Cautious optimism.
Someone asked me during consultation, well, Radlin, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, it's all going to go well, right? And I was, thinking to myself I thought for a split second before I answered, as I always do. No, actually, sometimes I don't think before I answer a question, but I thought, man, and I actually said this out loud. It's like, if I had $1 for every time someone asked me that, and if I were right all those times that they asked me, I would be retired by now. But I have been wrong. And I will say that when John and I started out, and we started our law firm 20 years ago, and I've been an immigration lawyer for 22 years, we were only optimistic, no caution whatsoever. And now we're cautiously optimistic. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I
wish I had the crystal ball. I really do.
I come back to my statement that it's a very broad, diverse country. It's a big country, and the interests don't always coincide as closely as we think they should, and so it always gets a little more complicated. But certainly we're in a more optimistic posture right now than we were, say, 2 years ago. Okay, let's just put it that way. I mean, it certainly hasn't gotten worse, and hopefully the prospects have gotten better. Okay,
right.
There's also talk of providing some sort of a path to citizenship for folks that are in the country undocumented right now, outside of TPS and DACA. We're not talking about that anymore. I mean, just anyone who's in the country right now who doesn't have TPS or DACA, who is just undocumented. There may be a path to citizenship for those. She said that they would be presenting something to try to first allow those folks to become lawful permanent residents of the United States so they have a green card, and then putting them on a path to citizenship. She talked about some time frames, 8 years, 13 years. This would be some new timeline that would be carved out for this purpose. And it's going to be tight. Again, the House is it's a thin margin, and it's perfectly tied in the Senate, with Vice President-elect Harris being the deciding vote if there's a tie. So again, I'll just say that. How about that? Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Is that
Fingers
good?
Crossed. Absolutely.
She also said that they plan to propose to add more immigration judges in order to alleviate the backlog at the border in some of those cases, and that they are going to do everything they can to make sure that there's not any discrimination in how the vaccine is being rolled out and administered. Okay, so that's all positive stuff, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed that it comes to fruition. And I know I shouldn't. I'm not going to say it.
Don't say it.
Never mind. Not going to say it.
Whatever you're going to say, don't say it.
Not going to say it. Okay.
How's everyone's New Year's resolutions coming so far? Mine are great.
Mine are fantastic.
Yes. Healthier eating. So many salads. I've had more salads in the past 13 days than my whole life, probably.
Yeah. No. My resolutions have also, I'm sticking to all of them so far. One was to do Facebook Live every Wednesday from 6 to 7.
Yay!
That was the only one.
All right. My practice tip, really quickly. So sometimes these practice tips come out of actual, well, they do. They all come out of actual questions, actual experiences. This particular one was surprising to me, but the practice tip is, if you are a U.S. citizen and you want to file an I-130 petitions for your parents, mom and dad, then the practice tip is you have to file an I-130 petition for each of them. So you can't just file one, say you file for mom and then you put dad on the I-130 petition as the spouse. That's not going to get it done, okay? What you're going to have is just one petition and not a second one. So that particular scenario really surprised me, because this person was advised that they only needed to file one I-130 petition. And actually, this is legal advice that you can bank on. If you have two parents and you are a U.S. citizen and you are filing to petition your parents to become lawful permanent residents, you must file an I-130 for each parent. We good? We good with that? Okay.
Yeah.
That is my practice tip. If any of you guys have ever fallen into that boat where you only filed one, then you lost 10 months of time on the other parent, and they're not a happy other parent.
And going back to what the future may hold, just briefly, because I wanted to review that again. The process that she was talking about would be an 8-year process. So
right.
It would be an 8-year process from where you are right now to having a green card, and then the citizenship would flow from there. And they're talking about trying to condense that down to a shorter time than the normal time you would need
13, right,
to be eligible to naturalize. Also, not to be a wet blanket here, but presumably the bars that exist for many cases now would apply to this group as well. And the big one that goes off in my head as a criminal defense immigration lawyer is convictions. And so if you have a criminal record, this could be a problem for you, even with this new approach that they're talking about. And I really want to make sure that in the next couple of weeks sometime that we do a kind of a deeper dive. We've been talking about that into the criminal the immigration consequences of criminal convictions, and this is a good reminder, if you are undocumented, to be super careful, because something you do, it's a crime that may not be that big of a deal in terms of your punishment right now, could become a real problem if some big legislation does come through that would have given you a path to having a green card and then maybe even citizenship, and now you're barred because you have this conviction, whether it's a drug possession charge or an assault and battery, whatever it may be. And I'm just throwing out, I'm not saying that those would necessarily be a bar, but those are examples of things that potentially could be. All right, so we will do a deep dive maybe in a couple of weeks into some of that stuff, because I still worry all the time about my clients thinking that marijuana is not a big deal now because of the changes in the state law, and I'm always reminding everybody who will listen that it's still a problem for immigration, so just be careful with that. Okay?
Absolutely. Big problem still.
Big problem for immigration. Okay.
All right.
Any more questions?
I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Are you next?
Well, I'm going to talk about, yeah, I guess I am. I'm going to, again, beat this drum about the driving privilege card. As many of you know, January 1st, the new law went into effect. Speaking of undocumented or just unable to get a license for some other immigration reason, under this new law, you're eligible for a driving privilege card regardless of your immigration status. All you have to do is be able to pass the written test and the driving test. You have to have insurance, and you have to show that you had income in the Commonwealth of Virginia sometime during the prior 12 months, and that you reported it on a tax return. This license is going to look just like a driver's license, but it's going to have a tiny little restriction code, and on the back it's going to say what it is. And all it can be used for is driving. It's going to have to be renewed every 2 years unless they change that. There are all kinds of documents that you'll need, things you'll have to show. You'll have to have your tax returns. If you haven't filed taxes, then you'll need to get an I-10 and file taxes, or maybe file back taxes. and we can help you with all of that if that's something that you want to do. But I really, really strongly encourage folks to look into this. Don't jump right into it. Don't just go and do it, because this is not for everyone. There are some people who I do not recommend this for, and those are folks that have had some interaction with immigration already and are concerned that you may be on immigration's radar. This could be just an easy way to put yourself right in their crosshairs if they're looking for you, because your name and address will go into a DMV database. All right. They're promising they won't share the information. I'm skeptical. Okay.
Promises.
Yeah. So if you don't have a license now, and it's because of immigration, and you'd like a driver's license because you drive to work every day or pick up your kids from school or whatever, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we can help you decide whether it's a good thing for you to do. And if it is, we can direct you in the right direction to do it yourself if that's what you want to do, or you can hire us to help you with it if that's what you prefer. But that's totally up to you. You can self-file this if you want. Okay? So, that's that. All right?
I think I'm monitoring the questions.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm always repeating, because the driver privilege card, for those of you who sign on every week, I talk about this every week, but it's such a great opportunity for folks, and I just hope that people will take advantage of it, because the people, really the people that were in the trenches that have been working on this for years and years and years, it'll be very dispiriting if then after we have this final breakthrough and we're all just like, yes, we did it, and then like nobody really signs up for it.
I think people will apply, and it's also near and dear to John's heart, because these are all his clients. All of his clients, not all of them, but the majority of John's clients do not have a driver's license.
Yep.
The majority of John's clients hire him to represent them for not having an operator's license, which is a Class 2 misdemeanor.
Class 2 misdemeanor.
In the Commonwealth of Virginia. And many of our clients have multiple no operator's license tickets. Well, it's not a ticket. It's what would it be? An offense? Yeah,
it's an offense. Yeah. A Class 2 misdemeanor in Virginia carries a maximum sentence of 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine, or both.
So we know these clients. We know that they're here, that they're working. They're just trying to support their family. We know what they're about. They are wonderful people, amazing clients, and we just want to help those who can take advantage of this, who fall into the categories and meet the requirements. And also, a lot of times people are saying, "Well, I haven't filed my taxes." Well, you still can.
Yes, absolutely.
So
you have to have income in Virginia, but even if you didn't report it on a tax return, that can be fixed. All right.
Right. Yeah, and one of my only paid speaking things that I've ever done was a really long time ago, and it was for a tax company. And the one thing that I said was, even if you're undocumented, you should file your taxes still. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so that is coming to bear true here. And
so get the driver privilege card. Call me for help with it, all right? And stay away from marijuana, because it is still a problem.
Well, he put a lot in there. John put a lot in there.
Okay, I'm just warning folks. Okay, it's still a major problem for immigration. So just don't do it. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, I do not see any other questions tonight on our Facebook Live.
Alrighty.
I think everyone's making their giant salad for dinner. That's
That's awesome.
Yeah. Keep eating that salad. John and I are we on a health kick? I would say health kick, but more, it's a health kick, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Bratwurst and sauerkraut for lunch, that's healthy, right?
That's right. You talked about making sausages, and that's what I had right before I came on the air.
Yes, that's right. Okay, everyone. Well, if there are no more questions, we're gonna cut out of here and let you get back to what you're doing as well. We continue to monitor this after we're done here, so if you think of something in the next hour or so, or even tomorrow or next week, let us know, and we will definitely get to it.
You know where to find us. Yes. You can send us a message through Messenger, to our info@gmlaw.net, or you can give us an old-fashioned call at 757-464-9224. We're there, we're working for you, and we'll see you next time, hopefully. Please let your friends know that we are doing this if they have an immigration question that we can help answer and help them along on their journey.
That's right. And happy birthday, Pops. Congratulations.
And happy birthday to my husband tomorrow.
That's right. And congratulations to Jeff Okuda. What a great story.
Yes.
And you know what, Buckeye Nation, for those of you who know what that is, you know what it is.
Buckeye Nation sounds...
Buckeye Nation, heads high and 2 thumbs up, okay? Next year, we'll get them. Don't worry.
Next year.
Get 'em. Next year. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great
Bye,
night.
guys.